It is January 21st, and I'm actually about to head out to the airport to go to the NAMM show, and I'm super excited about that, but I'm even more excited about the new launch from Neural DSP. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, check this out. Let's watch it together, actually, if you will. So, we've been expecting something new from Neural DSP. We kind of already knew that it was a hardware piece as they were showing the screens, but I was actually not expecting was what it is. I was kind of thinking they were gonna, do the rack, version of the Quad Cortex or like the Quad Cortex or something. But this is pretty interesting. I'm, obviously adding it here so you can check it out while we're looking at it, and this is there we see that it's the actual same size of the screen for the Quad Cortex. 2 inputs, that's awesome. Expression out. We've got the 2 outs, we've got MIDI in and through. We've got a couple extra outputs, which is pretty neat. USB, 4 rotary encoders. That's pretty cool. Even the video is actually good. We already know what expected to roll, but this is kind of almost like movie quality. And I'm so excited. I'm sorry. I'm watching it here as well. And this is super cool, right? Okay, so there's a blog post on the Andertons page, about the Quad Cortex versus Quad Cortex Mini versus Nano. They're kind of like their comparison guide, so it looks like it's going to be 1129 euros. So here in the US, it's probably going to be closer to 1400, probably 1350 or 1399 if I had to take a guess. This is super cool. Now, who is it for, right? Because obviously there's a Nano Cortex and there's a Quad Cortex. I've got them both, and they're completely different beasts in my opinion. Now this kind of like bridges the gap between them a little bit, but also is very different, I guess, than the Nano Cortex particularly. This is obviously closer to the Quad Cortex, hence Quad Cortex Mini. Now, I guess who is it for, right? There's a lot of like touring players that are currently out on tour with the bigger Quad Cortexes, and there's a lot of people that are actually using like redundant rigs, right? A lot of companies like Neat Audio are now making these, rigs where like it's all almost even turnkey. And what that means is that a turnkey solution, right? And let me actually stop recording on my phone. A turnkey solution means that you turn it on, it's already ready to go. Essentially, all you have to do is actually set up the Quad Cortexes. So, and these setups like these, right? If one goes down, like if the play audio stuff goes down, it'll actually automatically switch over to the one that's functioning, and until you actually get to fix the other one, in which case it'll kind of like start blinking back, and now you'll be able to, have a secondary backup or a backup to your backup back again, meaning it's always redundant and always running, right? If I had to foresee what's going to happen in the next couple of months, quite frankly, I would bet a lot on the Quad Cortex Mini being the option for this, because now that means that we can do the same amount of power and the same amount of tones in a smaller, more compact space, which means that you would be able to use both Quad Cortexes and maybe even a redundant playback rig in the same rack, in like a rack that's like this big, right? So that's pretty cool. Also, the fact that you can use the plugins, you can use all of your control or Cortex control stuff that you're already used to with the Quad Cortex. Quite frankly, I was already thinking about maybe getting a second Quad Cortex so I could use it here in the studio and then keep the other one for out on the road when I'm, out playing. This actually does sound really interesting to me. Maybe actually build a redundant rig with 2 of these minis and just have Ableton play everything for me and not have to worry about switching, pedals or switching scenes or working on any of that. Just have Ableton trigger everything. For 1, less money, but 2, now you get a smaller form factor, so it's going to be easier to carry. I know a lot of people that are already doing that kind of stuff with the Nano Cortex anyways, but now being able to do that with the Quad Cortex and have like basically like everything that we were expecting. Quite frankly, the Quad Cortex Mini is what everyone was expecting when Neural DSP announced the Nano Cortex. And don't get me wrong, I love the Nano Cortex. I've used it in a couple of gigs and I like it a lot. But this is kind of like what I feel everyone was expecting or waiting. And now there's a lot of people obviously complaining about it online. But I think it's pretty cool. I'm super stoked about this. I think it's going to change the way touring players are like thinking about their rigs, because it's going to be smaller, it's going to be more compact, and still, you know, same tones, unless you're running 4 instruments through the Quad Cortex, which quite frankly, in that scenario, you probably are already using a couple different Quad Cortexes. Now using this is actually going to be super cool, because it's much more travel friendly. I mean, super small. Obviously, we're going to be going to the NAMM show, so we're going to record this there as well. We're going to, you know, show it off a little bit, but just thought I'd make kind of like a first impression video. So it says that it will have Neural X plugin compatibility, plugins such as the John Mayer X, which apparently we're getting. That's pretty cool. Tim Henson X, Pliny X, obviously. Preloaded with vast library of virtual devices, arrives with 90 plus amps, 100 plus effects. It looks like it's gonna come with pretty much everything that the Quad Cortex already has. I would be interested in knowing how the synths functions on this one, right? Pretty much still Quad Cortex as far as like how much power it has, which is pretty freaking cool. I would have assumed that maybe it would have had some sort of cap on DSP, but no, it looks like it's the same. So Neural DSP does it again and wows everyone, as to be expected on January every year. This is pretty cool, man. I'm super excited for that. I'm going to put some more photos of what it's supposed to look like, at least according to the these pages over here. This is really cool, man. I'm so stoked to see this over at NAMM. So, yeah, I'm actually going to get going now. I'll see you guys at the NAMM show in a bit. If you do like this kind of content, do consider subscribing down below. Comment, share, like, all that kind of stuff helps more than you think. And let me know if there's anything specific that you want me to record over at the NAMM show. I'll do my best. See you there.